Good, all right, it's 6:32, we'll call it. Bring the meeting to order. First up, any modifications or changes to tonight's agenda?
We do have one we need to add or discuss at some point. Setting a date for the annual meeting, and then plan is still to put the local option tax, we do that ballot or on the floor, and we do an informational meeting prior to.
Okay, we'll do that after budgets, because I think that's gonna be a big one. So, set annual meeting. Okay, Heather, did you wanna add the crimes discussion?
Yeah, if we wanna do that, either their or other business.
That's all we have is crimes. There's nothing else left.
You wanna do that under business, other business?
Whichever, whatever.
Okay, we'll just take that up then. Alright, other than that, anything? Alright, we'll move on to public comment. I don't think there's anybody here. Anyone online?
No.
No one from the public here tonight. Review and approve the minutes for December 26th, 2023.
They look fine.
Sandy says they look good, they must be good. Motion,
Nobody cares.
Eli has the first, is there a second?
A second.
Heather, second. All those in favor of accepting the minutes for December 26th, say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Alright, review proposed routes for Elm Street water line.
So, I have Gary to pop in too, just in case he has any color comments that he wants to add. So A&E had a survey crew out, and identified some water lines, and then also identified where the cement structures of Elm Street ends, and then our green belt. So the proposed thought on you should have a map. Did you guys color
It
right?
says something.
Yes.
Don't mind the chicken strap. that's
Lenticeuses or,
So the blue, there's basically two route options. You have the red route option, the blue route option. You can go over some pros and cons of them real quick. The red would curve off, as you can see if you're going east or north down Elm.
that's under the sidewalk?
Yeah, the red would go under the sidewalk all the way up to Pleasant Street. I guess some pros there are the project would pay replacing all that project. Depending on who you talk to, the oak tree would come down.
I can just walk out and then it won't matter. Like, quit.
The kind of one of the main cons of the red is we'd have to go get easements all the way up through, which again, that's kind of already been started with the sidewalk project, so some people are aware.
You can do gas line.
Yeah, another con is that, according to Gary, the gas line was direct bored and it kind of zigzags up through that area, so you have to be delicate around gas. The other pro would be if there is, hopefully it'd be a long time, none of us would be around, hopefully for any issues, but if there was, we already have easement and we wouldn't really need traffic control or repair it. We would be on the sidewalk, not on 105 or Elm Street. The blue is, that would need, the blue line could possibly save the oak tree. It's gonna go around it, but it could get expensive because they would probably have to come in directionally bore underneath the roots of the oak tree.
Sean, they're not gonna go around it, they go underneath it, right?
Yeah, underneath.
Straight line.
Yeah.
No elbows, it'll be like that shows elbows, which I'm not really a big fan of elbows. The more elbows you have, the more chances you have.
No, we won't have to deal with easements at all because it's all in our right of way. It's gonna be tight though between the cement section of the Elm Street to the sidewalk. There's not a ton of room there to do that.
Be temporary water.
And then be temporary water that we'd have to set up, and they'd be digging, or what do they call it, replace?
Rip and
replace. So we'd have to rip the old and, as we went and replaced, and then run temporary water while that happened. think I've hit it all.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the thought. I mean, sorry Sandy, they can directionally bore. It's a crapshoot on the roots. I mean, so they would hire a team to come in and
Hey, if it's gone, it's gone.
do their best, but
I'll burn it down.
there's still a chance, even if they're digging on that side, going the blue line, that it could hurt the roots and it could die. at some
Dead is
point.
dead.
I mean, there is tree replacement as part of the project, so there's like those other two.
Did we have problems with easements the first time we were playing up there?
Yes, we did.
I thought so. Do we anticipate that we're gonna have them again?
I do.
Just
Because
curious.
one of the sticking points was that tree. For,
Well, it isn't because the owner cared anything about the
We
tree.
had like 3 people that never got back to us. We had the one tree from the tree, we had other people never got back to us.
The owner of the tree wanted it gone, if I understand
Yeah.
correctly.
He does still.
I was the only one who didn't want it gone.
yeah.
Hey, I
Uh,
don't live there anymore.
So yeah,
but
it's,
what would we need easements for? Because going 5 foot,
Too busy
Well,
dealing
because
with drug addicts.
we own the back of the sidewalk,
right?
so if we ever had a repair, we'd have to be out, because with having the trench open, as you know, this digging box
Yeah,
would be,
yeah.
you'd be into other people's property.
So it wouldn't it'd just be a construction easement, not like a,
Well, you have to have a permanent easement afterwards. Because you have to have easement to dig that up if we ever had problems. So you have a construction easement and a permanent easement.
okay. And so if that's the case, you might as well go 5 foot on that whole stretch too, because it's 4 currently, right?
Sidewalk's 4 foot,
Yeah.
yes.
And it's not ADA compliant?
Not that old.
Because we were talking about going 5 foot to the tree, 4 foot around the tree,
Right.
5 foot, that way we didn't have to worry about cutting the tree down. But if, I don't know. What do you think would be easier?
I like it in the street for my own, I mean, I've always
The
built
blue.
the street, the blue, yeah, I don't.
And that'll miss the concrete section of the
Yeah,
road?
they would tear out, because there's still about 4 feet, 5 feet of room, and some of that concrete's rotten. We dug it over there,
There's a hole around there somewhere, if I'm remembering correctly.
up higher.
Yeah.
We dug one up, I'm trying to think where it is. We had a break during COVID, and we dug
Yes.
it,
In front of
with-
Boyce's property.
yes, we dug it with our hole, it was rebar, but we dug the concrete was rotten. But we may have that same, we might find the same thing, I don't know, it's hard to tell.
And if, in the future, if we decided to rip up that concrete, do you think that'd affect if there was in-street water lines?
What's that?
If we were to put the water lines under the street,
Yeah,
if in the future we wanted to go through and tear up that concrete, do you think it would affect?
we're down 6 feet coverage, that's about it. And they're gonna directional bore the services, to cross the street, so. That's
Yeah.
to save money instead of tearing the concrete, I mean, it's too bad, they should have tore the concrete out before we paved it in 2014.
I know, but I hate it to don't.
I know.
So you know when you're in Enosburg, if you're sleeping, you.
Yeah. Well, that's a
Too
help.
bad. I mean, that should've been tore out years ago, but they didn't have the money for it.
Yeah.
Macadam is macadam.
Yeah.
So under the street, you're thinking?
That's my personal, that's up to you guys.
Well, I mean,
You want Wayne?
hopefully we put this in and we pave it, and then we're good for
I'm hoping,
A long time.
50
I think we
years.
should all be dead before it releases again.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
yeah.
that C900 blue brew, it's not like it's gonna be corrosive, it's plastic.
Someone else will be swearing at us in
Yep.
the future when they
And
go.
we'll be going, I told you so.
Well, I'm swearing to people now they're dead, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's up to you guys, that's my preference, but you know, you guys have your.
Well, to me, it looks like a straighter shot. And
I don't like elbows on
It
that.
makes
I mean, the more-
sense to
you
me.
know, more elbows,
Yeah.
the more chance for leaks.
And gas, you don't wanna mess around with
I don't
that.
want full of gas, because you run out of gas all the time.
Yeah.
And again, you know, Vermont Gas put it before, because there was because usually most utilities are in the roads, so they put their gas on the sidewalk.
They're shallow too, aren't
3
they?
foot.
3 foot, so you'd be working under them.
So
Try not to disturb them.
if
Yeah.
we went the blue route, again, blue route, there's a possibility of saving the tree, but are we be okay with not saving the tree?
If the tree goes, the tree goes. I don't own the tree.
Because it is
Yeah,
gonna be.
I mean, I think it's a shame, but I don't own the tree.
And the
We can
thing,
try to save it, I think that's
to
excellent.
me, the probably roots are into our utilities now, I mean, the roots is.
They've gotta be some of the deepest roots of any tree in the
Yeah,
village.
and it's
They
probably
have to
around
be.
the water line now, and probably around out, I mean, the other street, I mean.
Well, it's looking at the branches and they go across the road, they're touching the power lines.
Yeah,
So
so,
like, you gotta set them out.
usually the roots go out to your drip line, usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just have to see what happens.
The problem is it's healthy.
Yeah.
If it wasn't
It's
healthy,
beautiful.
we wouldn't be having this conversation.
No.
And again, it may last 30 years, even we dig anything, because I know years ago.
So that's fine, I'll still be dead.
I dug a tree years ago on North Main Street, we dug a telephone line, we dug down 4 feet, and we dug some roots out, one whole other tree, and it didn't die for 30 years.
Yeah, it's pretty
I was
established
20 years
roots.
old, they just barely cut it down about 10 years ago.
I think the road looks like the better route.
I think so. I think the blue line looks like it makes more sense.
It
And
really,
maybe it will cause less problems.
I mean, we've all seen the budget numbers. You do a sidewalk. How expensive is a sidewalk compared to a whole road?
Right, 'cause I
Like,
think, right now, for me to do it, to hire a magnet, it's $8 a square foot, which is $40 a foot. Just the concrete, that's not prepping, that's just the concrete.
yeah, probably down the road a lot cheaper to patch a road than a sidewalk.
And the sidewalk, which is in terrible shape, can always go on that list of sidewalks that can't be done this year, but will, be on the list for another time.
In 2018, I did from Orchard Street to West Berkshire, we did about a little less than 900 feet, for under $60,000.
Yep.
But we didn't have to get no engineers and no grants like that, we did our own.
No, don't touch my property.
Just out of curiosity, if we did want to replace that sidewalk, could we go 4 foot?
It could, but it's hard, because most of our equipment, if you know, when we're plowing with our plow, a 4-foot sidewalk, we tear up.
As a pedestrian, I would really appreciate having the wider sidewalks. I noticed
Usually
it.
sidewalks, 5 foot's the standard now, 4 foot
Yeah.
is really, and again, what I did on the other one is I went toward the road, so I didn't have to go into people's property, so I went a foot toward the road.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, it's kind of like a who cares zone.
Right.
Okay, well, I guess the only other question I have, cost-wise, is there a benefit?
I think they saw, didn't they think it was cheaper going underneath the sidewalk? Like, I didn't hear
They did just because, 2 reasons. One, again, if we bag the tree, but if we or focus on the tree, then you have to hire someone to come in and do the assessment to see if they can get around the tree and save the tree, and then they figured directional boring because they're only coming in for that one little section.
Yeah, it'd be like 50, 60 feet.
Would be-
Cost more for the mobilization and then set up and what the.
It'd be pretty expensive.
If you tear the tree out, they can just dig right through and keep on going.
Right.
But didn't you just say they were doing the directional boring for the services?
Yeah, well, that's only a 3/4 inch line, that's not that expensive.
All right, because it's gonna be
It's a whole
a
different
10-inch
sheet.
water line,
It's a
so it'd
whole
be
different
different. Okay,
Just
sorry.
out of curiosity, have you thought about, what do they call it, hydro excavation? You get a back truck and a pressure washer, basically.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the materials that would work.
Because if you can expose the roots and then just cut yourself a little window and stick it through, I don't know.
I never dealt with it, I never did hydro excavation.
First time for everything.
They do a lot with fiber, because you can't,
Right.
don't grab that.
The problem, we're down deep, we're down like 6 feet for the services, so the
Right,
material is down. If it's really heavy soil, you may be having a hard time, depending on the soil, I don't know what that is up there. It's hard, this village goes from sand to
Clay.
gravel to clay.
I don't know, what do you think?
Keep it in the street.
Keep it in the street,
I think so.
save the tree if we have,
If we
if we
can.
Can.
But it's not the #1 priority.
I won't
think-
chain myself
I think
to
it's
it, I
cheaper
promise.
to throw the tree down and just run through there. I think directional boring will be expensive, it's only a short distance. And
Right,
it's
that's
cost
what I'm
of
wondering.
just them setting up to drill 50, 60 feet, it's gonna be, and then it doesn't guarantee the tree's gonna live.
So are we,
I want the wood.
are we,
You have fight with that.
I want the wood. It's my tree.
are we asking the question then, if we, what to do with the tree?
I guess the thing is a tree, do you wanna remove it or are you gonna drill it? Cause I think it'd be cheaper if you throw the tree down.
It is, Amy said it was cheaper, because again, you're not paying for the assessment, and you're not paying for the directional boring. I don't think the tree decision has to be made now.
Right.
It's to keep them moving in the right direction, it's the red or the blue. We can decide the tree later.
We need a motion?
don't think so. I
I
think.
don't think so, it's
Don't
just
they
more of
wanna
an
know,
opinion.
they wanna get the bid
Blue.
package out, don't they wanna know if that tree's going, cause the bid package, they wanna get that out to bid?
That I don't know, I haven't been in those
I thought they were in a
conversations.
hurry to get this together so they can put it up to bid. I could be wrong, I thought they
Tell
were
them to slow
wanting
down.
to get a decision on that tree, cause they could know what.
Could we just find out what it would cost to
Yeah.
bore it?
Yeah,
And if we go, holy crap.
that helps with the decision.
Right.
But also gotta figure out how much it's gonna cost to take it down.
That's
No, it's
what-
not going to be a simple
I
job.
mean, an
It's supposed to
old
be
healthy
windy
tree.
tonight.
Might do it for us. Of course, it might take out our house too.
Yeah, I don't know.
I bet you a couple, $2,000, $4,000 to get that tree down.
I would sooner think 4
It's a big tree.
and
I know.
beyond.
Yeah, I don't know. You wanna just grab a couple quotes to take it down and
I
to
can
bore
get-
it?
I can try to get a hold of, get a hold.
Jordan and
now-
Jerry are
yeah.
both in town right
They're
now,
at- They're in town now?
they're both in town, so.
A regular tree,
Well, ours is,
Jerry Parrott charges, I think, 2,000.
yeah, but that's not a regular tree.
Yeah, so that's a big tree.
I know.
Yeah, get a hold of Cole
Jordan's
Hall,
cheaper.
out on a limb.
Mm-mm.
Probably ought to get 3.
I don't know what else
And
is
the
there.
maple is 1,800. The maple in front of the 1906 house.
That was
It's
1,800,
gonna
right?
be 1,800.
That was a pretty big tree.
So you're probably in the
I bet
4
you,
to
I bet
6
that boring's
range.
gonna be 50,000.
50,000?
By the time he sets up, it'd be $40,000-$50,000.
Okay, I'll cut the tree down myself.
Who's that? EJP or whatever, right?
It'd be either ECI or there's a couple of drillers.
Well, if it's gonna be 50,000, I think.
I'm guessing a minimum 20, 25 at the minimum.
Good firewood's two.
Yeah.
75 a quarter.
I think you can go board out of
I
that
mean,
tree. That's a big
it'd be a lot cheaper to do the tree than boring, I really do, because it's, just the drilling.
You wanna just give him a hard deck if it's over 10,000 tree goes for boring?
I want some slices of it.
Because we gotta, like,
It's bigger.
yeah, we gotta do our diligence to try to save the tree, but at the end of the day,
And
we can't
maybe,
be spending
Yeah.
that much
Right.
money to
No.
take
Yeah, I
it
mean,
down.
that's
A&E might
a
know
new
what-
sidewalk.
A&E might know what it costs to drill that, give them a rough, they might know a rough
Yeah,
budget.
okay. Just ask around, if it's
Yeah.
over 10 grand, tree goes.
Well, I mean, it'll be the Drexel,
Yeah,
Must be I'll have time to collect some acorns before the job's ever done.
I bet it's over $10,000.
Plus,
Yeah.
again, they can't guarantee you have the tree afterwards. They
So I
can do their
go-
best is what
I can go get a hold of Eads and get an estimate for what they think is gonna cost for drilling
yeah,
versus, I can't believe it costs more than $4,000 or $5,000 for that tree.
yeah, that's probably that's what I would guess.
I guess we won't know if we don't ask.
Because Jordan's that big truck, he can cut everything right from the ground.
Yeah, cheap.
Yeah.
That thing's so awesome.
That is.
He did such an amazing job at the hotel. Oh my God.
In just about no time.
So there's-
Yeah, just, keep us in the loop, send us an email or something, just to,
I'll get a hold of Merritt
Screwy spot he had to work in.
tomorrow and just see if he has a rough idea what he would cost, just a ballpark estimate what it costs to drill that.
that would be great. We like the tree, but.
I can hold Jordan, just get a rough idea what it costs to drill it, just what it would cost to cut it down.
Yeah, Jordan was flying back in tonight, so he'll be available
Okay,
tomorrow.
just give him a call, see what's it gonna cost to get that whole down.
So blue line over 10,000. We're on the drilling.
Tree
Go
goes.
blue line, tree goes. Okay.
Can we please plant something somewhere else?
Like I said, there's
There's
trees.
tree replacements.
There's already tree replacement in
Let's
the.
not play in the same spot, so we
You notice that it never happens in this village? Chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, nothing else ever gets planted.
Okay, we never put that tree back when you wanted that one that died in front of the bank.
You're right, I know. I don't forget anything. Like I don't forget that the Masons
What about
promised
that big silver mane?
they would replace all
Both
of
of
those.
those are good.
Those are
And they
good.
That one's going too?
Those
On the camera.
were, they had to go.
Yeah, I think it's getting a little unruly.
Yeah, no, both of those have to go. One's a-
Okay, well, we should probably plant some elm trees there, just,
How about some
Oak
oaks?
trees.
for the
Done
street, for the sake of
tree.
the street name.
Let's get some oaks, so I get some, yeah, so I can get them out in the woods.
We have to change the name of the street though. Oak Street.
Oak tree.
Well, it's only Elm Street on one side, if you talk to the people that live on the other side, they call it North Main.
North Main.
Yeah.
What is it, Leonard? North Main or Elm?
I'm North Main.
And I lived across the street, and I lived at
That was
28
Main
Elm.
Street. I thought it was all Main Street,
Yeah,
going
I
from
did
one to
too.
the other.
It was in the phone book, and at the post office, everywhere, 28 Main Street, 28 Elm Street.
Not to go totally off topic, but why does it change on that corner? It's just always been that way?
When I moved to this house, it was 39 Elm Street. Then it went to North Main, and now it's back down to 149 Elm.
You moved
wonder
3
if-
times?
The 911
The house
Yeah.
never moved.
The 911 system screwed everything up, I mean,
Yeah.
fixed everything.
That's what they have.
Yeah, okay, sounds like a good plan there.
Yep.
Keep us in the loop.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. Hey, digger truck financing.
So the digger truck that we moved forward with ordering should be ready anytime. I'm waiting to hear back on a warranty package on, Alan and I kinda took their warranty and requested an extended warranty prices on a few things. I did follow up right before the meeting, they're still waiting to hear back on that. So the truck itself is like 286. So I just ballparked up to 300,000 for the financing purposes. The packet that was on the table in front of you is the updated packet. Community Bank did get back to me. As usual, People's Trust came in with the best numbers. So my recommendation would be going with People's. A little more flexibility, we can set quarterly or monthly payments. And as far as the term goes, I'm open to whatever you guys would like to pursue as far as the term goes. And if you look at the People's Trust sheet, it does break down what the monthly payments would be.
I like that interest rate.
Yeah, they've been, like I said, phenomenal for us to work with, so.
I think they're being good to us. Kind of makes sense. And we need the best we can get anyway, and it makes sense to go with the people who seem to be offering that.
Yeah,
And if it won't be, I don't think it'll be just this, it'll be things in the future.
I actually did have a meeting with Deirdre, last week. Kinda went over, we have a bunch of projects and financing stuff coming up to start talking about the bond, because we are gonna have to decide on financing for the bond. That'll probably be next meeting, a discussion for that, so I have a little more time to pull stuff together. But we do have AMI, a whole bunch of stuff coming up that they're aware of and already starting the conversation on seeing what they can put together. AMI is probably gonna be kind of like a closed-end line of credit that will term out at the end, because it's gonna be hit or miss throughout the next couple of years. So they're definitely, whatever we need to do, they're working with us. I don't have anything but like really good things to say about People's Trust right now.
Yeah.
So like I said, that's my recommendation. Let's stay with People's. And as far as the term goes, I'm open for discussion on that.
Just me looking at this quickly, says a 7-year appears to be the best bang for the buck.
That's what I just came up with too.
I was thinking that.
And weren't we talking like trying to do a 7-year rotation?
Yes.
Yeah,
So the digger truck itself, I'm sorry to cut in front of you, I talked to Alan, like the lifespan of this truck. We'll have more hours and miles, but I mean, reality, this digger truck should stay fully fine and operational for 12 to 15 years. So that'll also help with the rotation, because this summer, if not sooner, we're gonna be having a discussion about ordering a bucket truck for next year. So unfortunately, their fleet is hitting all at once.
Use them.
102, the bigger bucket truck, is in decent shape. We can hold out longer, but 105 is definitely, that Dodge needs to go down the road, far, far down the road.
Needs to be put down.
Yes. But yeah, I would agree the 7-year for this looks the best way to go.
So,
So we'll just need a motion with which bank and which term you'd like to go with.
should we wait for a final amount first?
My only hesitancy on that is I don't know the delivery date and I need to have financing. So like I said, the truck itself is 286
and they budgeted $300,000 loan.
and I budgeted for a $300,000 loan. So the only issue we would have is if if they come back with a warranty and it's astronomical, we may not even end up doing it. This is just a, what can you offer, and then we can reevaluate. So I'm comfortable with you guys approving the 300, and then I can always, if we're a little bit over, we can just take it out of one of their budget line items for the truck itself, because we do have maintenance budgeted in there. So I'm,
Take it up the warranty, take the warranty out.
yeah, so I'm comfortable, we can just, if you approve it up to the 300,000, and then we can go from there. As long as you guys are good with
7
it.
years.
Second.
Everyone good? Okay, Eli had a motion for a 7-year loan from People's Trust at 3.25%, up to, but not, yeah, up to 300,000.
Correct.
Second,
Second time.
Sandy has a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed nay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing all the work.
It was pretty easy, I just don't think,
Said, hey, I wanna borrow this.
Give me money.
They do seem to be pretty good, right?
They're amazing, it's just the customer service. We're getting, like, we finally have switched a bunch of our money over and we're starting to use them for our day-to-day. And just, there's been a couple kind of like growing pains, but they've been immediately responsive and
Well, I think
everything's been sorted out. so-
initially, commercial in this particular village and town kind of lagged behind some of their other branches, so I'm sure they're quite happy to see that getting fattened up a little bit, and so it's benefit to us and benefit to them.
And I've sent 2 other munis their way, so they're definitely trying to help pull in some more for them because
Good.
other
At
munis are
least give you a t-shirt or something?
having issues.
They have some pins, they look like this.
Alright, let's go over the procurement policy revision and language around emergencies.
So, looking, especially, oh, thank you. Looking at our procurement policy that we currently have, it was signed in 2003 and hasn't been updated since then. One of the issues that I've run into a couple times since I've been here is that our current one doesn't have an emergency purchases kind of clause in it. So in the event, like the flash flooding incident, we called Scott Goodhue to come repair the road because we needed Duffy Hill back open. Well, technically, we didn't follow our procurement policy, so when it comes to state and federal reimbursement, I have to go through a bunch of hoops explaining why we didn't follow it and write up a narrative and this and that. So I reached out to Swanton and Morrisville for copies of their policy, and I went on Leagues of Cities and Town, and this one that I'm proposing covers basically everything. It's the same terms that we had before, so it's not changing like our dollar thresholds, dollar amounts for what people can do. It's a little more defined. And yeah, everything, the competitive bidding, that whole process didn't really change. It wasn't so much the content of what our current one is right now, and also we didn't have any of the like Davis-Bacon stuff. All that has passed through Department of Labor and a few other sections in there that need to be in there for Department of Labor regulations. So it was just basically an overhaul of the whole policy. I actually just found out where I missed something, so we can't sign this one. I also, on the back side of, or the, behind that one, I snuck in another policy. It's a capital program and budget policy. It basically sets forth for us to create a 5-year capital plan to follow and incorporate when we do our budgets. We're talking about doing this anyway, but this is also a policy the auditors, since I've been here, have asked us about, and always make note of it in their letter to us that we don't have a capitalization policy, which basically states unless it's a basic R&M, any purchases over 5,000 would become capital versus just your operating expense. So that's also here for you guys to review as well.
I don't know, it's so, in an emergency situation like flooding, washout, whatever, what does a typical bill look like money wise?
Depends on the situation. If it's middle of a storm and we call in Jordan without going through a bid process to cut a tree down because he was the only one that answered the phone, we can change that threshold too. Those typically, depending on how many trees we're cutting, could be 3,000, could be 10,000. For the instance of having Scott come in, it was 4,000.
Which Gary or John could
So
approve.
the way this is written, but we're not following our procurement policy. It's not in the policy.
You don't need to. If you need
Well, we
something
didn't-
that's
we didn't
under
know-
5,000, you could just go buy it. You
Well,
don't
we didn't
need-
know what the bill was gonna be, I don't think, till it was done.
Right.
And so what I'm gathering from this is if the village manager is authorized to make purchases that were not included in the budget and that may negatively impact the budget at year's end, the village manager shall seek approval by the village trustees for purchases greater than 20,000. So if it's under 20,000 in an emergency situation, I'm gathering that the manager can approve that. And if it's over 20,000, that's when you need your three prices. But it does list a emergency situation.
Wait, but these are the changes.
This is.
These are the changes.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say, you got everything covered.
No, this is the new one. The old one doesn't have a lot of this. This is more detailed. Our new one was like, I meant to give it to John to put in here, so I apologize. It's not in here. I can pull it up actually. But it's a couple pages and it's vague. This covers a lot of the stuff that we needed to cover.
Where
But
did you get the base for this?
League of Cities in Town.
And are all the numbers the same from them?
Nope, the numbers are what we previously had. And, looking at Swanton and Morrisville is kind of in line with what theirs. I think I lowered ours and raised it in a couple spots. Some of theirs were pretty small. And all these numbers are subject to change. If you guys wanna change it tonight, we're definitely able to do that as well.
And on the last page, we need to insert a dollar amount.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I just noted, that I missed
Oh,
that update. Thank you.
What would be your recommendation? Do you have one?
Read with this section. Most of our stuff for projects, I would say, end up in the 2 to 4 range for that, for legal, financial, our audit's 33,000, so obviously we'd have to go to bid for that. I'd probably go 3,000 there, just because that's normal for us, and then we wouldn't have to go out. Good, 3 or 4.
Where are you at?
The very,
Page
page
7,
7,
Compromise
under professional
3,500.
services,
where it says insert dollar amount.
I didn't update the amount there.
Split the difference, 35.
3,500?
Yep,
She had said 3 to 4, so 3 might be a little slim, 4 might be a little high.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a routine amount, unfortunately.
yep.
It's hard, this is a picture in time right now, but
Yeah.
that's the other part too, is some of this stuff. Like if we went out for bid right now for KBS, we would probably not get anybody to bid on it.
We're very limited.
I mean, a lot of services right now, as you
Yeah.
all know, are limited,
A lot of people don't like the utility side for the audit, so.
so auditors.
I think like part of it is just to give our people the opportunity though, right?
Mhm.
So
No, it's
I feel
definitely a
like-
good idea.
I feel like almost every single time we've gone out to bid since I've been on the board, we've ended up having to waive the procurement after attempts.
We generally, I feel like we're famous for getting 2, but not getting that
Yeah,
third bid. That third bid, for whatever reason, is extremely hard to
Yeah.
come by.
But at least you tried.
Well, the other thing too is like if we're going after water engineering, there's a value that nobody else can put on having like Aldrich and Elliott do it because they have a very intimate understanding of what our water system looks like. And that itself is valuable to us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Might eliminate the do it twice factor.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, so first page, sale of all assets more than 10,000 will require village trustee approval. I think that number should be quite a bit lower than that.
Okay, what would you like it to be?
Like 1,000.
Sale of any asset.
I'm fine with that.
Because typically we will put something out to bid. Okay, let's just say the old digger truck. We're not gonna need it. We'll get rid of it. Usually it goes out to bid, right?
Don't even bring it up.
And
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's any, like we did with the plow truck, we put it out to bid, we only got one bid, you guys got to approve it, we go through the bid process.
Yeah.
So, if you want, I mean, if we were to get rid of the John Deere tractor, that's potentially, we're gonna be looking to get
Bid
that
it
out to bid. Bid it out first before trade-in, but if we don't get 10,000, that means we don't have to come back to you guys. If we have it this way, so you wanna lessen that, so
Like,
we
we
come
still have
back
to
to you,
approve
right?
the sale.
Yeah, well, no, it just says that we need to be notified. What's stopping you? Okay, that's a $16,000 tractor, let's just say that for argument's sake. What's stopping somebody from going, you know, if you offered me 9,999,
Right,
we can make it happen today.
I'm comfortable
Like,
with that if you
I don't
wanna
wanna
lower
eat
it.
that $7,000 just for the ease of paperwork, you know?
Yep. No, I think that's fair, and I'm fine with that, whatever you guys want this to be, you have no argument here,
sure.
so.
I think it's the village's stuff, and it should be the village representation selling it.
So drop that to 1,000?
I think so, you know, $1,000, whatever, it's peanuts, like you got an old, something rotted out Chevy that's broken in half. They would give me for it, I'll give you $1,000, there you go, take it, you know, but if
Better
it's
than
anything
Sharp's
more than
chicken.
that, I
Yeah.
think that.
I think that's fair.
Then everything else, I think looks good. I don't know about wording with the emergency stuff, like the 5 to 20,000. There was some grammatical errors, I think. Sandy, take a look at the last sentence,
Okay.
What page are you on?
2.
Oh.
The last sentence of village manager limits. Must be missing a B between may and negatively.
That may negatively impact on the budget in years out. The village manager
That
should
may
seek approval
negatively.
by the village trustees for purchases greater than $20,000. I don't think so. You're talking about the last sentence, which is for purchases not included in the budget,
Yeah,
and that may negatively impact on the budget at year's end. The village manager shall seek approval by the trustees for purchases greater than $20,000.
okay, maybe it's just the on that's messing me up. The rest of it makes sense. I just feel like that's a little loose-ended. Maybe we should say for emergency purchases, not to include, or not included in the budget.
what was it before? So I know Dave always brags that he's got like 50,000.
That's why we don't listen to Dave. I wanna
Cause
say
that's not emergency
village
purposes.
manager was 20, either 10 or 25 before, let me check.
I don't, that spot is just general village manager limits, not emergency limits. Were you trying to talk about emergency limits?
I was trying to make this worded for emergency, cause
Yeah, I
it was my understanding that anything over 5,000 needed to come before the board.
Unless it was a routine repair and maintenance that happened
Yeah,
every year.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yes,
And that's what this is trying to say?
This is trying to up that to 20.
I think it was 5,000, I wanna,
Because above it says routine purchases over 5.
No, I don't have that.
No, 5,000, so department heads are authorized, department
Let me
heads
go look, Sam.
are authorized to make purchases in amount up to 5,000 for routine purchases of materials. Routine purchases over 5,000.
Well, you can add that as a sentence under emergency purchases if you wanna put that moneyed stipulation in there.
Well, I think it should be under the manager limits.
Yeah, this does seem like it's a higher limit.
I always thought it was 5,000. If it's over 5,000, you gotta come to the board. That's why if you ever
Well,
look
20,000
on
is a lot of money.
our financials, people who know that, you'll see a lot of high $4,000
Yeah.
bills.
I agree, you can change that number, but I don't think it has anything to do with the emergency portion of this.
Right, yeah. So let's go and look and see what the emergency.
So where is the?
Section.
So like part, I
Page
mean, I
6.
guess if I were you, it just says the village should do, the village manager and or finance director may award contracts. At least has to have approval, but
Where does it say that?
page 6, emergency services, purchases.
Oh, right there.
Oh, so there's not actually a dollar amount on the emergency services one.
Of course, the very situation of an emergency makes this, sticky wicket anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't go over $5,000, I don't remember, I'm trying to remember what your dad's bill was, cause he fixed the truck for us. During Storm Elliott,
Me? I know.
yeah. I wanna say it was like 17, so it wasn't even close to 5,000, but still, it was something that needed to be done,
And that
instance.
is okay, cause it's under 5,000.
Right, I'm just saying, nowadays, you quickly get over
Oh, yeah. for sure.
$5,000.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
on a truck repair.
Well, that's why we need to have. So if we had a item in the budget that said, like a repair thing, would the village manager be able to approve expenses up to however much that budget line is? Because it says, the first page 1, maybe it's 2. For things that are out of the scope of the budget, you need to have approval, anything over 5,000. So if the money's already there budgeted, shouldn't they be allowed to spend it? Like if we had $25,000 for maintenance.
I think if it's in the budget, it's already approved.
Right. And they're able to spend the money, they don't need to ask.
Without being
Well-
hamstrung.
Exactly.
And you're right, it was 5,000 for the village manager before the 20,000 came, both Swanton and Morrisville for that, so I just went in line with what they had, but obviously we can adjust to what we're comfortable
Well,
with.
that's under the manager limits.
Correct.
So is the 20,000 the one we wanna change?
Well, that's just what I'm thinking about. That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. It is a lot of money.
But how would you do it your way per budget? I mean,
Yeah,
it's fine, you can do, but
If,
but-
for anything that's not budgeted, is what this is covering, so like Heather just said, if it's budgeted, they've already approved it. If it's not budgeted, something comes up, if it's over, this is saying if it's over 20 grand, we'd have to come back to the board for their approval.
So-
The debate is, it used to be 5, so we need to decide.
Just to kind of circle back, so I think one of the differences is if there's a known repair that we're planning for and we say that we are intending to spend X amount, that's pre-approved and budgeted, whereas we just have a lump sum in the budget line and something comes up, that is, I don't think considered pre-approved because it's something unanticipated, even though we have a budget line to cover stuff, so we would have to then approve this scenario.
So, how many are here when our plow truck blew a head gasket or something and it cost like 19,000? And that was at the beginning of the plowing season. Like that's an emergency, and that's a very expensive emergency. So if there was a, let's just say, a $25,000 budget item for the highway department for emergency repair, would, in that case, the department head or the village manager be able to approve that emergency repair without coming to the board? Because it's for items not included in the current year budget, which it is. You know what I'm saying? Cause like if there's 25 grand sitting there and you have a $25,000 bill, it's over the $5,000 department head, but it's not part of, or sorry, it's in the budget. So are they allowed to spend that?
Right, but one's
That's
an
where the
emergency and
emergency-
one's not an emergency.
If it's an emergency,
But it's in the budget.
Right. So that's where I'm at, it's
Right,
like,
but I think the difference is like if we take the like window repairs or something, that's not an emergency.
right,
So, but we have repair line, or, you know, we try to have money, you know, for unanticipated repairs, but that's not an emergency.
right.
So we spend time talking about how do we wanna move forward with it versus something breaks, like the heat goes.
Road washes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to
Immediately,
right
a
away.
decision needs to be made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I think there's a difference between, I mean, I don't think we should confuse the village limits, manager limits to the emergency portion of this. I agree with you, I don't think it needs to be 20,000. A lot of it's already budgeted anyway, but then when you get in the emergency section, that's where, and then, and you speak to it, Abby, what was it asked of you when we're going, and again, that's one of the reasons why Abby started down this road, is because as we're filling out FEMA paperwork, it's being asked of us. Is it in that policy?
because it's not, because we don't have the emergency section in our policy giving like
Anybody?
department heads or John in the instance of like Duffy Hill washing out, that we could just call, pick up the phone, start calling people, whoever gets here first is who we go with, rather than coming back to you for approval. Because we don't have that, we're having to justify why we went with Scott in this instance versus following our procurement policy and taking time for the road to be repaired. We have to stress the emergency nature of the situation, and then that we called, Pitt literally picked up the phone and called a few different people, and Scott was the first one to answer, and that could get here. So that's why we did what we did in that scenario. So it just, by updating especially the emergency portion, would eliminate that and make it easier, because that was, 2 days going back and forth with FEMA. It just makes it a lot cleaner and easier for us because we're already covered in that essence.
I think the emergency section makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would be happy with that as long as we add something like,
Do you wanna put the village manager limit back to 5,000, which our current policy is?
hold on, let's just take, I'm on a one-track thought process tonight. Where did I read that?
Is this just the general fund stuff?
No, this is all funds.
Where did I see that?
So for like the recurring purchases, how does that work with like purchase power?
I guess I don't understand what you're asking.
Well, we got buy power, right?
Yep.
And it says if the total value of recurring purchase of a good or service is anticipated to exceed 50,000 during any fiscal year, bid process shall be utilized, blah, blah, blah. Well, we don't really have an option where we're.
We can't go out to bid for that.
And we have specific contracts that we've already signed for that, like our purchase power is made up of 10 different contracts that the village has approved and signed for us to go with. So I'm not sure that that's a good example, John,
I don't know, I was just curious.
Yeah.
So that's actually
If it
already in
matters.
place anyway.
Yeah, I would say the same, because they're all,
They're all individual
we bring the
contracts.
contracts to the trustees to be signed, like Stetson Wayne and so.
Yes, that purchase power has 10 different contracts that the board has already individually signed. It's just, each payment is coming through on just one invoice though, from 10 different contracts.
And I think that could potentially fall under the category of the sole source purchase as well, like you just know there isn't.
Another way to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Okay, so there's a line in here that might speak on that. Routine purchases such as salaries, benefits, utilities,
Yeah,
fuel, oil, gas, diesel, office supplies. That utility should be bold.
Yeah.
Where did I just see that? I just read something that says, purchases over blah, blah, blah. They will notify the board.
The purchasing authority,
Maybe.
department head limits, department heads are authorized to make purchases. And it says the village manager, department heads may authorize staff to make purchases. It's not board.
Maybe that. Because basically what I don't wanna see is an emergency, well, I mean, the board should be aware of any emergency, right? But if somebody went out and spent 15 grand and nobody on the board knew about it,
So you think maybe adding a line about, a board notification that includes justification?
well, yeah, I guess a small report of the emergency and what happened and where the money went and this and that. Just a,
We can add a couple sentences to that reflect that. I mean, I think that's a fair ask.
Yeah, I mean, I think
And that way,
has been
all of the
practiced
bases have
with
been covered and nobody can be accused of
of
doing something that nobody else knew about.
spending money on an emergency
Yeah,
that,
that
who
perhaps
justifies the
wasn't-
emergency.
yeah. Mhm. Your emergency is not my emergency, and
Exactly.
et cetera.
Just something similar to that, I don't
Nope, I
know,
think that's fair, Sam.
just, we gotta be kinda, I don't know, transparent.
Nope, I think that's fair, especially adopting this policy and whoever's in all these positions, so transparency is a good thing.
And then I would. Now let's talk about the manager limit 20,000.
Yep.
How do we sit on that?
I think the 5 was good.
5? Cause there shouldn't be anything. What kind of circumstance would we,
I think
we
we
come
think
up
it was the furnace over at the, we ended up budgeting that in for next year.
We budgeted, we don't have a number, I haven't had any quotes to budget in.
That's another example of getting quotes.
what kind of situation
too,
do we think of
right?
that would require a $20,000 purchase
Yeah, we don't,
that
That we didn't.
They
that
go
wouldn't
until the
go
next
before
meeting.
the board
Right.
and isn't an emergency.
Yeah, but with the price of everything today, you have no idea what, like, this includes a light plate, right?
I mean, I agree with you, I mean, I don't think it needs, because you always call a special meeting,
Yeah, right, yeah.
you know, and to approve something, I think we did last year, I mean,
Well,
yeah.
here goes the old compromise thing again. We had 5, we don't want 20. What about 10?
Yeah, I was thinking 7,500 or.
Let's go
like,
10.
A
Let's go
little
10.
higher.
I'd be comfortable with that number.
Deal with account for inflation, but
I will make those adjustments and send out another draft.
sounds good.
Okay.
Because you're right, I don't honestly know of anything we would go purchase that we would not come in front of you anyway.
Right.
That's the only thing,
But
like,
it might not be you and it might not be us, and so it needs to be.
Right, that's what I'm
paper.
saying.
I read the financials and like if there's a lot of, you know, bills that are a couple $100 up to $4,000, but if those turn into 9, 8s, 9s, especially if it's $20,000 limit, $19,000 a whack and we're not.
Yeah.
You know, we
aware of
could
it,
lose track of where we are financially pretty quickly if that happens.
I would agree. I mean, it just like you said, it goes through communication and transparency between what we all have going on, so you guys are in the loop on stuff, so I think it's fair.
So we're already light years ahead.
The other one that, like, again, it's a quick little page and a half, but it basically, it's a capital program and budget policy, so it basically is going to essentially require and implement at least a 5-year estimate on capital planning for each department. I think since I've started, I've had this conversation that I wanna do that with you guys anyway, and we kind of already do have that to some degree, but this would just formalize it a little bit more. It doesn't hold us set in stone that absolutely has to happen, but it helps come up with a better plan, start thinking about how we're gonna financing it. Kinda goes back to my point of when we're looking at the terms on the digger truck, we'll keep in mind we've got to order a bucket truck to hit next year, so it just makes us kind of look at the bigger picture. It'll also make our auditors happy because we don't have this policy in place. This policy, I will 100% admit for snatching from Swanton, and all of their policies are through leagues of cities and town signed off on.
This is great, cause it's basically what we've been talking about, but
Yep.
a formal plan.
Yes, yeah, so it's nothing really out of the ordinary from what we've been discussing, but it just formalizes it. like
Yeah,
Sam
no,
said.
absolutely, I like this a lot.
And we can hold off until next meeting when we have the procurement and approve them all together. If everybody wants a little more time to look at this or wants any changes, and then we can just do it all at once if that's easier for you guys. Or we can approve this one tonight, and I don't care either way.
So how are you thinking that this would work? Would it be like a 5-year rotational where every year department heads say, look, this is my 5-year goals? Like, we had a list last year, these are the things that we crossed off, and this is what we're trying to go for this year, or the next 5 years?
Essentially, yeah, so it's gonna be a revolving working document that minimally is gonna outline 5 years. I think right now, Brian, I know, had at least a 3-year one that he went over with A&E, and that's what drives our capital projects for them. Obviously, some of the building maintenance and whatnot is driven by what Brian tells us we need to do down at the building. But yeah, so highway department, general fund, just park stuff too, but the equipment rotations, this is gonna help us put together the equipment rotations a little bit better. Electric, wastewater, everything. So every year when we do budgets, the intent would be to analyze that again and then add the next year out so we keep the rotation consistently going.
Absolutely, yeah. So would this be like an annual thing during budget season? So when we
Yes.
approve department heads would come forward with a list of their capital,
Yep.
improvements. And then we would generate a budget with all of those things in mind, and then we would approve the budget and then approve that department's CIP.
And
Cause we're kinda already doing that while we're doing budgets.
we're doing it right now just on an annual basis, and I think that's one thing that's jammed us up a little bit, especially in the general fund with the tax rate. The thought was always, well, let's approve it because the financing won't hit till next year, then you got 4 things hitting all at the same time, and now our tax rates jumped significantly. It's the same thing with the other departments as well, like it's just better planning is gonna result in better financials for us and more secure financials for us moving forward and put us all in a much better position. I mean, all the departments are doing fine, but it'll just make us that much more secure and prepared and.
So the way that I'm reading this is it kind of lists the village as a whole, so the village will adopt the CIP. Should we do that by department?
Yeah, I would agree with that now that you point that out, so I can just change that language to be a little more department specific.
And annually?
I would like to review it annually.
Okay, so, yeah.
That's in there.
So under capital improvement plan and budget, the trustees will adopt a 5-year plan for the village of Enosburg Falls. How often and when?
The plan will include the village plans of capital projects.
Each of the following 5 years.
Estimated.
See, I don't know,
And this says management will review and update CIP annually.
right, but so
you
is
want
this,
more.
is, the way that this sounds is it's a 5-year, so like 2020 to 2025, not like the 5 years in front of you, no matter where you are. Like, it's not revolving, you know what I mean? I don't know.
So we can word that a little bit differently though to make it a little more clear.
3 more rolling.
I'm getting too picky.
No, it's solid stuff, Sam, so, well, yeah, okay.
Just say annually we'll adopt a 5-year CIP for each, department.
Yep. Okay. Perfect, I'll make those changes and,
Does that sound good, everybody?
Mhm.
Do we
Awesome.
feel that we need to put in there when it happens annually?
doesn't it indicate during budget season or no?
Did that-
I would say probably before town meeting or village meeting, annual meeting,
Yeah, and I
anytime in there,
done,
because that could give us, whenever we start budgets in September, all the way through beginning of March.
Yeah, because it talks that each year management will develop a capital budget that lists and describes the capital expenditures to be undertaken by the village during the coming fiscal year. As resources are available, the capital budget will be incorporated into the current year operating budget,
Yeah,
so,
that sounds good. That sounds good.
okay,
And I think this is just kind of a loose policy, it's not like a,
right,
you better
it's,
listen or you're going to jail.
right,
Guideline.
no, it's definitely more of a guideline, but it just, like you said before, it just kind of more formalizes the process and gets that ball rolling.
Awesome, I like
Okay.
that.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and I'll make those changes.
Okay. Budgets.
Alright, sorry, you're almost done with me. I honestly didn't make any changes from the last meeting, cause we didn't propose any changes. The one thing John did just mention that I don't have account for in here in the general fund is gonna be the furnace. I don't have a price on that for highway, and that will entirely hit the general fund. They do have some savings that we could look into too, but Yes.
And we're obviously looking into, this is the one for the highway garage,
yeah.
looking into a much more efficient way of heating that place, other than what we're doing now.
We could just throw a bunch of money into maintenance
Well, that's
of
true.
garage
Natural gas
Yeah.
furnace.
for now.
I feel like they said they've got maybe one quote, John, was it?
They have 2, Damien
Oh, they
and
did get one from
Mercy. I don't know if he actually, right, I know he's looked at it, I don't know if he's actually given a quote, an estimate yet. I know Mercy's given a quote,
What,
14?
14?
14.
14,000.
Which I feel is just ridiculous.
Well, it's two units in there,
The laborers are what's getting me, I don't know,
and
like $4,500 in labor.
like John said, Damien blew in,
Installation.
Yeah.
Damien came and looked at it,
A Kane?
Jacob,
They're,
Jacob,
no, last name's Kane, I don't know the first
I'm
name.
the one that got the number and I can't remember his name,
J.K.
Jacob.
Kane or something like that? J.R. Kane.
Yeah.
I think
He
he used to
used to
work for
work-
Souls.
Josh Kane.
Josh.
He used to work for Bennett's.
Yes. And then Courtney's supposed to give us a quote too, but we haven't heard from him either.
So they had reached out to everybody and then the flooding stuff kind of hit for December, so everybody kind of got diverted and we haven't been able to get anybody back to give us some solid figures on that.
What about Bloom's? Just for kicks, I know they don't do gas, but propane and natural gas, I don't know.
We
We can
have,
ask, I know other people have asked for natural gas and they said,
They said no.
we have reached out to
Probably
like
carries a
Vermont
different
Gas and
certification or
stuff to
something.
look at
It is, yeah.
rebates. So we're looking at anywhere from an $800 to $1,000 rebate from Vermont Gas.
Efficiency, you got anything?
that's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's through
It's gotta
Efficiency
hit, like,
Vermont.
There's like one that's
Sorry, yeah.
96, 98 and 100%,
Yeah.
whatever.
It depends on how efficient the
Do they
unit
make
is.
heat pumps that big?
I said that to Kenny when I was
Like
over there the
10
other
of
day.
Well, we got a bunch in the lake department. Can move them back over.
I don't know if those work pretty good.
Where
Heating
They
and
have
things?
they're wiring them.
They're in the process still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to find an electrician?
Yes.
We have one in house.
Do it?
I may have found one.
Just one.
Luck out.
So that, I guess, general fund, unless there's something else, I will need to add probably 15 in for a buffer.
Ballpark. Do you wanna have that a separate item, or do we wanna just put it in maintenance and garage?
Really, it's just maintenance of building.
Right. I don't like earmarking stuff, cause then if something changes, you're stuck.
Right. Okay, so that will, it's not gonna have a huge impact, but it will obviously affect this tax rate. I'm okay with this one getting set aside and making that adjustment, and then we can approve at the next meeting, because we do have that little bit of time.
I think we definitely need to just ditch Mrs. Coy Street.
That's the other question,
Like, no way.
We can't do what we can't do.
Yep.
As much as we'd like to do it all, we can't.
because with Missisquoi, you're looking at a 32% increase in the tax rate. Without
After we had
Missisquoi,
a 20% increase last year.
without Missisquoi, you're looking at an 18.68. Adding the 15 in, we're probably gonna be around 19% increase again this year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yes, it is.
Can't
And
get
then,
blood
then
out of
what
the
are we
stone.
getting blessed with another 20% increase?
Property taxes.
Yeah.
You're saying
Next year.
18 and a half is what the proposal is, but rumor is we'll definitely see 10 to 15.
Yep.
Minimally.
And that's just for school?
That's just the education side.
Yeah, so I mean,
And you look at what your tax base is in this area, that's kinda scary.
You look at this and it's hard because, we got hit really hard with insurance this year too. That definitely did not help anything, but I know, I guess I look at our budget and it's really, nothing's drastic in it, and everything that we're doing, I feel is justified, so it's really hard to look at like, okay, what can we cut back further because the cost of everything is so high.
well, we anticipated this, cause we had a lot of catching up to do. What was that, 18, 19, 20? And yeah, it was when Matt was here, so.
I remember the projection he gave us, he
And it was-
predicted
It
it
was,
would be
yeah, I
was
read it,
steep.
it was
steep.
scary,
But
yeah.
we had to get in front of it, because if not, we're always gonna be playing catch up and
Yeah.
financing everything, so.
So, we did, happy news, we paid off 2 loans in 2023, and we're scheduled to pay off 2 more. I actually can tell you I have paid off the 550 plow truck. That payment was in January. April will make the last sweeper payment. So all of our vehicles are gonna essentially be paid off, and equipment. What we're gonna be left with are the bigger paving projects, 2019, 2020, 2021, that we still have hefty balances on. So that's where we're getting hit with a lot of this right now.
Okay, but we can't forget where our goal was here, and that's to get ahead of it, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we have, we had a vehicle fund, right?
We just started that,
Okay.
and I do have that in here still. What we did was take the 25,000 that we've been doing the sidewalk the last couple years and split it. Sidewalk gets 12.5, equipment replacement gets 12.5.
Yeah, that sounds fair. Yeah, basically what our payments were is what we should be putting in,
Right, like we're already used to
roughly. Yeah.
that.
Like the F-550 gets paid off, what was that monthly payment?
The 550 is an annual payment,
Perfect,
and it
even
was
better.
about 12,000.
Okay, so there goes our vehicle replacement.
Poof.
Is there anything, there's not really anything coming up other than the 17 pickup, but we bought that some time.
Yep, so Ken's gonna do a little bit of body work on that. That got paid off last year. Again, low mileage. Ken and I had a conversation about that truck the other day, barring anything major, knock on wood, happens. Once he does the body work, another probably 4 years easily out of that truck.
Okay.
We only have right now, I think he said 30,000 miles on it.
And that would put us, we'd have 50,000 in the bank when it comes time to replace that. If we keep adding 12.5 a year for the next 4 years.
Correct.
I can live with that. I'd like to bump that number up, but I think everyone's getting squeezed enough this year. Like I'd like to see a 25 a year. but hey,
One step at a time.
And
we'll
We've
get,
already taken more than.
as we move forward on a couple of these loan payments, like your principal's going up, we're now paying less interest, so that
Yeah.
drives it up a little bit too.
Yep.
So I will budget in for the furnace and then resend a draft out to everybody. And then we'll approve that one at the next meeting.
Okay.
The enterprise funds, I'd really like to approve tonight if we can. Obviously, if there's a major concern, we won't, but I'd really like to because their fiscal year started 9 days ago. So I know we used to wait on that, but I'd like to get that approved as close to the first as we can, so we're operating. The other part of that is if we do move forward with the water and wastewater budgets tonight, to know both of these are proposing an increase, 3.5 water, 4 and 4% wastewater, when the board would like those to go into effect.
yeah.
9 days ago.
Yeah, right? So just when we make the motion, we just need to pick like February 1st. That's what we did last year. So effective date's February 1st. That means it'll be the end of February bill for the
We started
town.
collecting on it in March.
Yeah,
Alright, hold on. So we got a 4% increase
yep.
for water and wastewater?
4% for water, 4% for wastewater, 3.5 on water.
Half on water, and we want that to be effective February 1st.
Yes, please.
Okay, I will hear a motion from the board to approve a rate increase for wastewater at 3.5% and a rate increase for,
No,
sorry,
No,
wastewater at 4% and water at 3.5% to be effective February 1st, 2024.
move.
Second.
Eli the first, Heather the second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Now, are these budgets looking, are water and wastewater ready?
Water, wastewater, and electric are all ready for you guys to vote on tonight.
Okay. What do you
So
guys
2 out
think?
of 3 are still looking decent.
Since what?
So I assume 2 out of 3 and you're still looking okay.
Yeah, and I will say on the electric department, these numbers, when you look at the deficit that we're budgeting, is a lot scarier than what it really is. So we budgeted a $782,000 deficit for this year. The forecast put us at $295. Reality, as I ran the numbers before the meeting, our deficit right now is, we're gonna end the year at about $194,000. So is it great? No, but we're trending in the right way. Last year it was 272, almost 273,000. So we're going in a good direction. And I know I bug John and I bug Alan constantly. We are still holding strong on the spending freeze. So the guys have to be very particular and come talk to me or John before they buy anything.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
If it's, and I gave them $100 limit, under $100 I won't yell, after 101 I'm yelling.
It's good for them to be accountable anyway.
Alan is doing a phenomenal job. Some of this stuff with just making sure our inventory is ready going into storm season. Vehicles, I mean, we got hit with tires on 2 trucks this year. They're not cheap, especially on the bigger trucks. It's just, some of this stuff is inevitable. But they are working really hard and doing a really good job working with us to try to kind of rein it in, so to speak, so that we can get this headed in the right direction. And it's gonna take 2, 3, 4 years to get us to where we wanna be, but like I said, we're going in the right direction.
Well, that's better than the other way around.
that, yeah.
So,
Is the bucket truck in here?
no, that'll hit 2025.
Really?
18-month lead time still.
I thought we were getting delivery on it like.
Digger truck.
Sorry, digger truck.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
in there.
Digger truck is in here.
It's near the end.
It's in the interest. The payments for this do not factor the actual operating budget because it's an enterprise fund. But the interest is in there.
And that could be lower depending on when the actual delivery date is.
Excuse me, correct. I know it sounds like we should be getting it sometime in January, but until it's physically in our yard, I'm not holding my breath.
I was surprised at the lead time when they mentioned it. I guess plow trucks are still out a couple of years, again.
Yeah, so this one, they were in the inspection, it's already built, they were just in the, like, inspection and running through everything.
It's supposed to be in New Hampshire in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so,
What do we think? You ready to?
It is what it is. Yep. Let's do it.
we're going in the right direction, I'm gonna keep saying that, 'cause it's kind of frustrating in here, and I know the guys get irritated with me on it, but like I said, everybody's really working together and working hard to go the right way. And next, again, insurance clobbered us this year, but workers' comp side of things, next year we should see a decrease because a couple of our big claims will be off and not factored in the 5-year that they use, so that will help that. And I do intend to continue to look around, but as we know this year, Travelers still came in with the best policy for us. But this year I do plan to keep looking.
Okay. How do I wanna word that motion? As a percent increase over 23, or just as drafted?
Usually we do it as proposed.
Okay. Motion to accept the electric fund as proposed. You have the
Second.
first, Leonard with the second, all those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and those opposed nay.
And then we just need the water and wastewater actual budgets. You approve the rate increase, but the budgets.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Where am I gonna find that number? I think I found it. Okay, motion to accept the wastewater budget proposed at $779,333 for 2024. Eli with first, Leonard with the second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. That's unanimous. Alright, up next, we have the water fund. I'll hear a motion to approve that at $373,010 for 2024.
First class cup.
Eli with the first,
Second.
Sandy with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay.
Thank you, first class.
What about it?
In here, you got
No, they'll email him directly, so
text or
I'm assuming he's down there.
Is that it for budgets for tonight?
That is it.
Thank you very much, Abby.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you. That's, I realized what an ungodly amount of work that is.
It's all good.
I didn't feel a thing.
Why we love you.
Now we have our amended item to set the annual meeting time, date, and place. Let's talk about that first before local options.
oh, just need to set that one. Oh, I wrote it down. 12th. But it looks like the date we'd have it. So March 12th.
Town meeting's March 5th, so that's the Tuesday immediately
Yeah.
preceding.
It should be, it's just, yeah,
Pretty typical for
the
us.
second Tuesday, yeah,
Mhm.
12.
Yep.
Yeah, cause they, yeah. Yep, okay. And that's at 6:30?
You tell me.
How do we
That's what we
want?
did last year.
Yeah,
Isn't that the 13th? Isn't it on a Tuesday?
we probably,
12th
we had a
is
lot
Tuesday.
of feedback last year, we probably shouldn't have it here again.
Yes.
Yeah, we were gonna,
No, it's fine.
we were gonna
We're
have
gonna
it.
do it.
Yeah, not right.
Maybe we can ask the town to keep all their stuff
This is February.
set up.
Oh, yeah, would help had the right month. It always used to be in February.
So 6:30, the 12th EMS building. I think you guys do have to make a motion
Yep, yep.
on that, okay.
Okay,
Let me.
everyone good with that?
Are we gonna set it up so that we can be, it's not gonna be hybrid, correct, because of voting?
Yeah, because there was that weird, like, if you can't do half Australian, half,
Right.
So I think in person.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear in our,
And there was also some comments last year about how residents liked it like that, like even the old school, like Vermont way of doing things, so.
Yeah.
If they like it, it works for us.
Make them
Yeah.
comfortable.
Okay, motion to set our annual meeting for March 12th, 2024 at the EMS Emergency Services Building at 6:30 p.m.
Move.
Second.
Eli with the first, Heather with the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, nay. Alright, next thing we need to talk about is local options tax.
we have to set the date for the informational meeting?
Well,
We have to
that's gonna,
decide on the
that's gonna be,
determine.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. So what are you thinking, John?
I mean, I think it's worth putting out for a vote.
So you're thinking ask the,
We're proposing a 1% local option tax, and then I guess up to you folks, do we do an informational meeting and then do we do by voting on the floor that day, or do you do ballot voting? So if we do informational meeting, it'd have to be the night prior, it has to be the 4th, prior to town meeting day for the town when they vote ballot. If not, it'd have to be at some point between our meeting. Again, I still think it'd be worth putting out for a vote to see what the village folks think. I think
we tax everybody enough, and we don't need to add another 1% to everything everybody buys.
that's up to you folks. Again, I look at it as more as, you're getting other folks to help support the community in this
Right,
case.
it's not just residents
And
at that
then,
point.
the dream is, and again, I keep hearing, they're getting more, they're making more off of it than projected by economists. The town, St. Albans town has made more, a lot of villages and towns have made more off of it than they have, than projected. And again, I just look at it as a win, because then hopefully we can start to balance out like the general fund and do things with those funds, as opposed to raise the taxes each year with that.
yeah.
I think more people, come out to vote throughout the day than they do from the floor voting. So more residents would have a say.
If they have the 10 to 7.
Yeah.
Then again, if it doesn't pass, I guess it is what it is, we can look at it, revisit it, but, and again, that's why, we probably have an informational, just let people know that there's a lot of, like I've said before, it's online, these revenues are coming from other places.
Do we know if any municipalities have rescinded what they've done?
Yes,
Not that I know.
One,
Killington.
is the only one that has.
Yeah, but they went
Make too
after
much money.
No, there's less than 10% of towns in the state that are taking the whole thing too.
but they also went after TIF.
And I think, a lot of the places that are doing it are more of a high tourism area than Enosburg.
And have we studied whether or not the local option versus TIF would make us more or do better? Because I'm thinking, we're certainly not gonna get them both in the next 5 minutes. But is one of them more lucrative for us than the other?
From what I've talked to other managers and so forth, the local option is definitely the better way to go. Because there is no, the TIF is a major process. Can't remember the exact term of it. They're trying to look, I guess they do this in other states. They're trying, that's the term. It's basically a sectional TIF, so you could do certain sections. Again, Enosburg, and that's a problem too, Enosburg's just too small. We don't have the industry to kind of make it worthwhile for that taxation process.
No, we can answer our own question.
Yeah.
Administratively too, the TIF would be
Yeah, it's
an
It's labor
astronomical amount of
intensive.
work.
it'd be three years probably at the minimum. That's like perfect scenario
Mhm.
before you even take hold. So, and again, it be for these projects like Missisquoi Street and so forth. So then hopefully it doesn't hit the general fund. We can just pay for these things. And then, like I said before, grants as well. So if we can apply for grant, just look for 20%, like the sidewalk project. It's sitting there. You don't have to go find it somewhere. It's kind of the mindset behind it. Again, all the managers I've talked to, I mean, they love it. Essentially, they think it's the greatest thing because it's, again, a major portion of it is getting paid from folks out of town. But you said it is more like a Stowe or a St. Albans City where they have more cars maybe coming through.
Even Montgomery and the J, like, they're getting tourism.
Although, I mean, I was in, not that I know everybody in the world, but I was in Hannaford's on Sunday. If I had to guess, half of the people in there were shopping on their way through to J.
We also get a lot of Canadian tourists
Yeah,
actually
there's
shopping at
definitely-
Hanford's. I see them all the time and like, there'll be like 20 coming out of RVs and stuff.
Yeah, there's
A
a
lot of
lot.
that's not gonna matter if they're only shopping in Hannaford, because a lot of that stuff.
Oh, I guess,
doesn't
yeah,
partake
but I
in
mean like,
local option tax. Unless they're going to Great Outdoors or My Store.
Well,
It's on online
using it
sales
as
too,
an
so
example.
anybody's purchasing Amazon or any of those, it'll be whatever's
That'll
taxable for
help
that.
too. Every other Friday night, I'm in the tavern, I'm in the tavern restaurant at the hotel. And every Friday night when that restaurant was the Somerset, I was there. Back then, just in terms of looking through the restaurant, probably 3% of the people that were in the Somerset were, shall we say, Canadians, for lack of a better place for them to come from. And the rest of the percentage was all local. In the tavern every other Friday night now, I'm willing to hazard a guess that 30% of the people that are in that restaurant I've never seen before in my life. So I think we are getting an influx of people from outside our area, maybe more than we realize because we sort of aren't looking.
I mean, yeah, Ben, talk to Ben, I mean, there's a lot of people that come from, not just out of state, out of the area, out of,
Well, I
Other
suppose if we
towns.
have an informational meeting and we advertise it well enough,
It's the other thing, I don't
We
think
are-
we advertised it well.
we are going to find out how people feel about it.
So who is exempt from this local options tax?
It's
Well,
sales and use.
it'd be either sales and use, and then you do rooms and, you know, you have that option. It's one or the
Right.
other, or both.
But is our municipalities exempt?
We're tax
They're tax
exempt.
exempt.
So anyone who is tax exempt is exempt.
Is tax
from-
exempt.
So agriculture.
Schools, churches,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
the
all
damn
right.
farm, I mean, the
And then
farmers.
regarding online sales, is
It's gotta be more.
it
zero.
anyone who is buying from Enosburg gets taxed? Or is it anyone buying something from someone in
live in
Enosburg?
Enos-
If you
Enosburg.
live, it goes by zip code. Correct. So if you're buying Amazon and you live at your house.
So how would that work if the town wasn't on board with it?
Well, there's no
It's
retail.
literally- They literally draw on
It's a
that.
map. You have to be within that map, because like Sheldon, some of Sheldon has an Enosburg zip code in
Right.
Enosburg town. So literally, yes, it'll be tied to the zip code, but then like John said, there's another layer of it where it's tied to the map.
So, you probably know more about this. The town of Enosburg has no retail businesses, correct?
As far as I know, you're correct.
I don't know
Boston
how Boston Post area works, but
Yeah, I don't know.
What about the West Enosburg Country Store?
grandfather.
Oh, okay.
But there's no retail allowed in the town, right? So this would be just a village thing?
Yes, just the
So they
village.
have to go out through their own process.
Just like St. Albans town has had it in place for a few years, the city is just starting to adopt it, or just adopted it, one or the other.
And as a business owner who delivers, it's administratively gonna be very difficult if it passes.
No, it's not, it's, you file your sales and use form already, so it's just literally one more line on that is all you have to check.
And if I deliver something to Richford, I don't charge them local options tax.
I don't
Deliver
think,
something to Montgomery, I have to charge them the local options tax. I went through this in dealing with Champlain Valley and St. Albans. Cause I went there and picked up something and they said, we delivered that to you, right? So we don't have to charge you the extra 1%. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, I guess I don't know enough about that side of it, but.
Well, you'd be delivering Enosburg anyway.
Yeah, but if I deliver it to Richford, I don't. If I deliver to Montgomery, I do. If I deliver to Enosburg, I do.
even though the
If I
sale
deliver to
occurred.
Sheldon, I
But I
don't.
think it's the opposite, correct? Cause they
Sorry?
don't, cause Richard doesn't have it.
Right,
does.
but then I have to figure out a way to tell my computer that, oh, yep, I am taxing this sale, but if that customer comes into my store, I have to charge them the 1%.
But because you're
But
bringing
if I'm
it
delivering
to
it,
them,
I don't charge them 1%.
but they're still buying from
Yeah.
your store
Yeah, I
that's
think
in
once you do it,
Enosburg.
once we are it, then they are going to get that one.
It doesn't
Not
matter
if
if
I
you're,
deliver it.
they're still
I
buying
don't know
it from
that.
your store in Enosburg, though it's no different than Amazon. If you're buying something on Amazon, you're buying it from California, but because you're buying it,
But what I'm saying is it's getting delivered here. It's getting delivered to Enosburg. It doesn't matter where I buy it from.
See, this is where I'm confused,
but
is
he's
the whole
buying it
internet
from
sales
you,
thing.
but he's buying it from you.
Right,
Right.
but if he's
So he's buying it
Enosburg
from you
has-
in
doesn't
Enosburg.
matter.
If you buy something on Amazon, it was made in Enosburg, and it's sold to someone in California that does not have local options tax.
they don't.
They're not gonna pay the local options tax.
They would pay whatever their local municipal
But if-
tax is.
And somebody from Enosburg bought something from California, we have local options tax, they do not, we pay local options tax,
I don't understand the online sales benefit then, if that's what they're saying.
right? Is that what I'm
No, the
understanding?
online sales benefit is because my address is in the village of Enosburg, I'm paying that 1%. Doesn't matter where I order it from.
Right.
But if my address, for me, say my business, I deliver something to Richford, they don't have local options tax. So I have to figure out a way to not charge that tax when I deliver that product. Because it's getting delivered
Even though
to
they're
a
buying
location.
it from an Enosburg store.
Right, we don't pay, if it's
Doesn't
coming
make
from
sense to me.
California, we don't pay California's tax rate when we buy it.
Well, in theory, you're supposed to.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
just like
Actually,
Amazon.
yeah, no, you do, well,
You don't pay California's tax rate or Arizona's tax rate.
you pay state sales tax.
You pay your
Yeah.
I
state.
want state sales
Right,
tax.
and that would be the 1% in
Yeah.
Enosburg.
Terrible explainer, that's not the way it works.
Maybe you're right, I don't know, we can.
I guess maybe we need to find out.
We'll definitely have to look into that. I don't 100% follow you either, but it's worth
I'm a
looking
bad
into.
explainer.
No, I get what you're saying, and I had the same questions, like, are you paying as the seller or as the buyer or both?
Right.
Like, if any one of those parties lives in Enosburg, or does business or whatever in Enosburg, then that needs to be taxed.
Right.
But that's,
So like Abby, you get, if I deliver you something to your house,
Yeah,
you're only gonna pay 6%
because I live in Sheldon.
because you live in Sheldon. You come into Enosburg and buy something, it doesn't matter where you're from, you're paying 7%.
so maybe nobody else does this. I do it on my taxes, so every year when I do my taxes, I have to go down and find my lovely wife, how she buys everything online. And I have to go
do the
through
same
the
thing
list.
and get
and I
your
have
use
to-
tax.
And I have to find what she paid tax on, what she didn't find pay tax on.
Yep.
And then I get down to the bottom and I say, oh, we owe or we don't owe.
I have to do the same thing because my art supplies aren't taxed, but everything else that I buy that is not for my art business is.
Yeah, and now majority of stuff is now being pre-taxed when you buy stuff online, that I'm finding when I
Yeah.
go through my wife's lovely list, but, you know, back before, in years past, it hasn't. So I would think it'd be the same, it'd just be taxed on an extra percent.
Well, let's use Williston for example, a small business in Williston, not somebody with their corporate headquarters in somewhere else. If we bought something online from that business, we should be able to see that it's got the 9% and not, or is it 7?
7%.
7% instead of the 6%.
Right, but we only pay 6.
Right, but what I'm saying is if we, well, we shouldn't have to buy something in order to figure out if we're paying 7 or 6%. But I'm just saying, if you look on your receipt, will it say 7 or will it say 6? Will it say Vermont sales tax,
It does,
local
yeah.
options tax, delivery fee, or shipping and handling, whatever?
If you go there and pick it up, you're gonna pay the 7%. If they ship it to you, right now, you'd only pay 6.
Let's check into that.
Like, yeah, no, I can do that.
Yeah,
The other
that's a
thing too, we
solid
can do-
question.
I mean, the other thing we can do too, hey, I'd like to see if we're really sure, but we could always look to see what the cost would be to have a, somebody do an assessment on it and see what the value is. I mean, all the numbers I've pulled are estimates off of what other towns and villages have done. And kind of go by their numbers and then kind of
Shrink them a little?
shrink it down to our size. And, you know, I don't think I'm that far off, but
Now, does Swindon have it?
no.
Because
So-
they're a little bigger than us, but not much.
What would be the question that we propose to the public? Would it be, do we want a local options tax, yes or no? And if so, let's just say, yes, people want local options tax. When does it take effect? Like, do we have a roadmap set up to how we get there? Is there just a button you push somewhere? that
No,
just-
yeah, no, that's why we would have to do it in March, and then we would have to, then it has to go through legislature, we'd wanna get it, again, depending on how fast we wanna push
So
it
the
through.
following year,
No, we could get it on legislature, so
Being
the goal would
sarcastic.
be July first, so they would approve for July
The
first.
state fiscal year runs July to June, so
July.
it wouldn't be implemented until July.
But we
it's if
have,
they got it done.
we have all the information and means to implement a local options tax if the voter said yes.
So the board
in
said
March.
yes, then we have to get the legislature did yes, then we have to follow the rest of the process to get. So it could start as soon as July first. And then what was it, 3 month, and,
And then you receive quarterly payments.
yeah,
So we wouldn't, so July first would be the first quarter essentially for it, and we wouldn't receive that payment until like October. And the state takes,
Well, let-
30%, yeah,
state takes 30% as
20, that's basically
administrative
30%.
fees.
I'd like to see this as an,
Glad we don't lose any.
Yes.
I'd like to see this as an agenda item for next meeting. And we'll discuss some of the questions that we had. And then go from there, I think.
So the biggest ones were online taxes and then
And deliveries.
Delivery, yeah,
delivery.
out of town purchases, I guess. So like, let's just say this, I'm at work, I'm in Montgomery, and I buy something new, I don't pay Montgomery.
Right. You're supposed to though.
So how
Like
is
John was saying, when they go through their taxes, pay their use tax,
right?
you're supposed to say, pay 7%
So that's gonna
use
be a pain in
tax.
the ass for you to keep track of what town's got what tax, which that doesn't really make sense to me, but
Which I,
it seems like the hard way to
It's
go.
Seems
only- it's
backwards
only-
to me.
It only affects businesses that deliver.
Who
Well,
delivers?
shit, that's
So you
everybody.
deliver.
Yeah, that's Amazon. How does Amazon?
That's
keep
why,
track
that's
of
why it
everything
doesn't make
as well?
sense to me. That's why I'm
Vapes.
confused, like it's,
Hannaford's, they all deliver now.
Yeah, everybody, yeah.
but.
Let's check, well, we'll check in on that, we'll get more information,
We'll
we'll have an
just-
actual agenda item and then, you know, if anybody has,
Hash it out.
yeah, more discussion, whatever. But we definitely need to have more of a, I guess, structured conversation on this.
Yeah, because at this point, if we were at the informational meeting and people were asking us what we
Yeah.
thought about it and what did we have for information, we're not gonna look too good.
Yeah, no, let's, we'll live by
It's gonna be a
this.
little bit of a duh.
Okay, when would we need to set an informational meeting by? To follow the proposed question of the local office?
I honestly don't know the date off the top of my head, how many days we have to warn that.
Andy might know that.
Lori has a checklist.
Okay.
I could touch base with her in the morning. I know typically we always set it this first meeting for the annual meeting. As far as the informational meeting goes,
Okay.
don't know if that's quite as strict, but
Let's double check on that too, make sure that we're not gonna push our time limits. I wouldn't imagine it'd be anything more than a month, so.
I almost wanna say a couple weeks for informational meeting,
Yeah.
but I could be wrong.
Okay.
7 days or something like that, but don't
Yeah,
get me.
10 days is in my mind for some reason.
Okay, so the online sales, shipping, informational meeting, good on local options? Let's move on to some crime.
Can I cut to Heather
Tell you
really
when
quick?
it's
Yeah.
plenty.
Alright, yeah.
I just need to pass around the annual certificate of highway mileage Gary needs signed off on. there's just some lines down here. Every single one of you needs to sign off on it. We do it annually, certifying our mileage.
So
We haven't
Change
gained any,
drastically,
we
right?
haven't lost any, so it's
find a line, put your name on it.
Sam.
It's not 130 feet shorter this year.
Nope, we didn't take any off. The next thing is I'm gonna hand you all the new approved personnel policy for your handy dandy records. What you do with it after I turn my back is on you. If you can also just pass this around and sign that I physically handed it to you. That's all I need
Yes,
signed
ma'am.
off on. And then now the floor is yours, Heather, sorry.
So, am I writing in the values here?
Nope, you just sign down below.
I feel like I probably should write in the values for
I
total.
didn't follow the
at least.
directions very well and I signed in the print.
I'll let you do that.
That's on Gary, that's Gary's stuff, so.
Okay, but I'm going to approve the total mileages here, and he can figure out the added and subtracted mileages. That way, nobody feels, it's like writing a blank check, you know? You don't do
Scared
that.
we're gonna add some roads there?
So Heather's gonna talk crime, I assume everyone's aware of the latest robbery this morning at 2:30.
Was it this morning or yesterday morning? The way that the news article
I think
said,
it
it
said
said Monday
this-
morning.
It was
Tuesday.
it was at like 2:16.
This morning. So it was overnight.
No, the guys were talking about it yesterday.
Oh, okay, so it was yesterday morning?
So it was like
maybe-
Sunday night going
Was that
into
the
Monday?
Walgreens one?
Yeah, I think it was
Oh.
Monday night going into
I'm
Tuesday.
confused now. Doesn't
Because,
take much
well,
to
because the word said that it was Monday night
So this story was
or Monday
published
morning.
January 8th at 10:33.
Shit.
Is that WCA?
2:15 a.m. on Monday.
I don't like that you said that, Sam.
Well, there's after, okay, this definitely reads like a government document. You do all of your stuff first, and then at the end, it says, if there's no changes, put next in the box. You think they would have led with that?
Might
I
have been
wouldn't
wise.
worry about it.
So it was yesterday.
Okay, I am signing this.
So it was Monday morning.
The
Sorry,
physicality
Gary,
of the
that's
person in
confusing.
the film, regardless of the mask, matches the other two. I mean,
And
just
they're going after
shoulder
the same
width,
product.
See, I'm
hip
guessing,
width.
Yeah, was it
I just
cigarettes?
quickly tried to pull
Yeah.
out my fishing pole.
Yeah.
So I know, do they come in a little
It says
square?
taxes.
What comes in a little box that's
Well, you
like
meant
this, by like
Going to
this?
I
Walmart.
don't know, I saw
Because
it.
he was pulling,
But did you notice
I
too,
think
it was
once I
like,
put my
hmm,
dress
this
in-
is-
yeah, and do I want that one, do I want that one?
We
Taking
know,
his
but if
time
I'm not
figuring
gonna-
But if it is him,
My mom's dress
what
in.
they want.
He was
Okay.
arrested Friday for the Walgreens
Fine.
burglary, and they had to have printed it when he.
It's for
they took
research
it.
purposes.
Yeah, but.
Is that underneath my budget approval?
They said they were going to, and his prints have gotta be in the system from last Friday's arrest.
Okay, so,
So I don't have anything specific, it's just that, which is I guess why I didn't need it really to be on an agenda item, but other business to start talking about this, but I've heard of 2 car thefts, so this is just in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was New
2
Year's.
car thefts, a hit and run in somebody's driveway on Orchard Street, and then now 3 burglaries. This is within the past 2 weeks.
And a no trespass order that was served Thursday afternoon at approximately 4 p.m. And a breaking of that trespass order at 10:35 that same night. And therefore, a re-arrest the following morning for breaking the trespass order and then disorderly conduct after someone threatened to beat up the sheriff.
So
regular old circus.
So I just have to amp up. And I don't,
We're in trouble.
yeah,
It is chaotic, absolutely chaotic right here in the village. And it's getting worse by the day.
and I've heard stories of like the library a little while ago had enhanced some of their policies, like somebody was trying to going into the library with machetes in their backpacks. So they had to change policies. I guess there's a person that walks around the village with an axe that they just swing around.
We haven't seen those two in a
Yeah, I
while.
think they've,
I think after the flooding, they might have dispersed.
Maybe, but just
Or floated away.
Was there an accident, maybe hit and run or something, right over here by the bridge?
Yes,
They
it took
perhaps
out the
hit-
Duffy Hill, pump station, our
Pump
insurance,
station?
the pump station. They're having to manually pump right now. It is completely offline. All the electrical was severed, is my understanding. Their insurance will be covering everything.
That
Can we
should-
find an electrician?
Yes,
That should be.
not one of our.
You're just having too much fun with
So
that.
that, like something like that should be enough probably for the board.
Nothing, it's our usual electrician that we use through the wastewater, not our other in-house electrician.
Your in-house one.
Has Swanton had their meeting yet about, as to whether or not Swanton Town now wants to have their own police force as well as,
They have
Swanton
57 planned.
pardon me?
They have 57 planned. 50. 37 to go. No
Right.
joke.
Playing what?
Informational meetings.
Swanton does?
What?
Wow.
They're doing
57
bonds.
No,
information.
They have-
50 total, 37 left.
But I don't think it was Swanton Town doing their own
No,
police
yeah.
department.
That was in the, it was in the
No.
messenger on
They're
Friday.
gonna go
Well,
with
they've-
the village, right?
No,
The headline was, does Swanton Town want their own police force?
it wasn't that, well, from my understanding, it
Everybody does, I think, at this
Yeah.
point.
didn't want their own, but were they gonna go out shopping for something other than?
For other
village?
coverage, yeah. Well, they don't have any, probably
There's not
more
much
than we do,
else
so.
to do, but yes,
Yep.
that's what they had, looked at that, yes.
Maybe we need to more seriously look at having our own police force.
But
I
at
think
this
we
point,
do.
it doesn't matter that, like, well, yes, but like even just getting coverage as a gap stop, you could have money sitting on the table and there's
Right.
Yeah,
Nobody-
getting coverage where we're getting the coverage
We're
is
talking
not
about
gonna do
getting
it.
bids when we put out for 3 bids and you're lucky to get 2.
right. You make
So-
3 police calls, you're lucky to get,
You might get 1.
yeah.
I know this would be probably a big lift, but would you folks be interested if we did some kind of like a conference or forum with all the other select board trustees in Franklin County?
I would.
Like a
We are headed down the
countywide
proverbial
meeting.
toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that-
Everybody's in the same boat.
yeah.
That would be a big meeting.
It's a
Yep.
big meeting, and we probably have to find a moderator of some sort, but, hash out coverage and what it looked like, and, I mean, obviously Swanton's trying to push their proposal because they have a building they wanna put in and so forth, grow.
What would a regional force look like?
Well, that's what
Swanton notwithstanding.
that's what it would look, that'd be going after, is what does that look like?
Like a Franklin County.
Well,
Sheriff's
almost,
Department?
almost a Montgomery, Berkshire, Richford, Enosburg coalition.
Come up with
So like,
cool acronyms.
almost like a
Like
district or whatever.
Northeast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like a Franklin Northeast district. Just, where we all help pay the bill and we all get benefit out of it. I mean, because we are getting nothing. And if you could stand in my living room window for just one day, and that's just one house, you would realize how much it has grown. It's unbelievable. It's like a sale at Macy's. Constant, in, out, all day,
So it
all
sounds
night.
like it's just a couple bad eggs. We know who our burglar is. And we know
But
who
the
the
eggs-
pharmacist is.
The eggs are multiplying.
Well, and then more of that creates more
Exactly.
break-ins and stuff. I mean, I was talking to somebody today, and it was just like, it's like that 10 years ago with the opioids, like when it was like really bad.
Well, that's what my struggle is we were on a call and I went to a conference and it's, they claim they don't know a place to put substance abuse folks, which I get maybe that argument, but the substance abuse folks are also the ones that have to fill their needs, so they're robbing and stealing and doing whatever they need to do to get that. So there's other consequences.
And most of them, obviously the needs are great because almost everyone involved in that process are all getting public assistance. They're getting food stamps, they're getting money for housing, they're getting a number of other remunerations and spending all of that on drugs and then still going out for more.
Right, and the whole like cycle is just as much prevention work as we're able to do helps break the cycle it's like we have to really go at it from multiple fronts, prevent people from using, support people who are using, and also stop people from stealing other people's stuff. So it's like a multifaceted approach. The police force is one aspect of it. We also have to think of like on the social aspect, what can we do? The youth center, something, some of the other project things that we're doing. I mentioned it last year and I haven't pursued it, but nobody's really taking me up on it. Like community social workers, there's other ways besides just having a police force that we can also look into, as well. Yeah.
I don't know, you can't hit them in the wallet, like if you cut off any of those benefits, what are they gonna do, they're gonna rob some more stuff, or you're gonna.
Right.
More
Yeah.
likely,
Yeah.
And,
You
you know,
can stop something by cutting its funding, but that's one of those things.
Well, that was interesting, that Roger brought that up, Mark Q, in one of the meetings. So the conference ended because it was flooding in Waterbury.
kind of puts an end to things.
Casually.
The physical one, so then they had a couple of follow-up meetings, and that was, I think it was Roger, one of the suggestions is like internationally you do that, you know, I mean, when you're trying to stop Russia from going to Ukraine, you seize their assets. So obviously some folks don't have these assets, but can you go in and hit them, I guess, in the wallet? I don't know what that looks like, but that was, and maybe not obviously the folks that live near you, but maybe some of the other kingpins that might be a little bit higher up. You start hitting them somehow.
Do what you wanna do, just not here.
Yeah.
So make it so they don't live here.
And apparently the task force, which is a skeleton crew now, such a skeleton crew that it's having a hard time working, at least this is what one of the officers told me. There's nothing about Enosburg's operation that they don't know. They know all the dealers, they know everybody that's bringing the stuff in. I don't know if they know about New Jersey yet or not.
Well, that's everything.
But and I find it,
I was talking to
taxing my brain.
I was talking to a former policeman from Newport State Police, and he said the system is broke. He says, we bring them to court, and the judge says, and go on home.
That was the call, that was a lot of the call that we
Like
were on.
jail might not necessarily be the answer, but maybe like forced treatment.
Well, part of the Vermont's problem, in my opinion, is that we just kick these people back out on the street and we don't offer kind of any guidance or resources to have them want to better themselves. We're just, here's your check, keep doing what you were doing, not here's an opportunity, here's how we're gonna train you, here's how we're gonna help you. Like our re-entry program is non-existent in the state and has been for years, in my opinion.
And the Howard Center the Howard Center did have something similar to that down in St. Albans, and that closed
Yep.
at the first of the year.
Yep.
So how are we as a municipality supposed to get anywhere from when this kind of comes from the top down?
Pretty difficult.
I mean, do we keep pressing our legislators? I mean, do we ask them to come to a trustee meeting? I'm sure they're all aware of what's going
And
on.
it's a start. I was in
Good
a,
luck getting anywhere.
I was
I know.
I was in a
But at least you can say
Meeting.
we are.
last month where the legislators were in there and they were all talking about it. Like that's every community that's high concern in every community. Enosburg is not unique in our situation. Feels good to say that at least in a weird way,
Yeah.
because you don't want that for
It's
everybody
sometimes
else,
not,
but
but
it's not just us.
Let's share.
It's not something we're specifically doing wrong. But yeah, the more stories we tell our legislators, the more
It's gonna take
the
take
more
hold
they
at some
work
point.
into it. Yeah.
He's got it.
And we've got to I'm in multiple group prevention collaboratives and I don't know. Like you said, Abby, it's like the follow through after they close down some pre-screening clinics and everything costs more.
That's the other thing I learned with that call,
COVID mental health is worse.
is I didn't realize, I think Officer Norris told me at one point, but one of the reasons why they go for the federal is because the state laws are so lax.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're pushing and pushing so they finally can get the person or people on a federal charge, because then they can actually put them away for a while.
We all could put our guns up for sale so they can buy them.
You're looking for a big fish in a mud puddle.
No.
You're not gonna
Unfortunately,
find
it
a
takes
big fish.
years to build these
There's
cases
some
too, I mean.
You need to squeeze the neck of the little fish just a little harder till it
Yeah.
talks.
So it was, I mean,
So, one of the things that I do wonder is like, John, I don't know how much, the sheriff and state police, do they have a good open communication of like when they have reports? Because sometimes things get reported to the state police, sometimes they get reported to the sheriff. It's really hard to see the big picture of what's going on when our reports are going to two different agencies.
I mean, from the meetings we were in, I mean, they mentioned at that meeting, you were at the town that night, when Griswold was there. I mean, supposedly they communicate, yes, because that's been brought up, I mean, it was brought up in that meeting we went to.
So in personal experience, this is what happens, and I was on the other end of this. It's the middle of the day, you call up state police because something is happening in Enosburg. Sheriff sign on at 4 o'clock, call them at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
I can almost guarantee you that's still happening.
I've gotten that so many times. We did in our, and I haven't looked into it, one of, I forget which organization with one of our emails that we get. It had, I'm gonna find it right now, but, like spreadsheets or some sort of way for community members to put information into, the internet so that it can get categorized more. Anybody else see that? Okay, let's see. Cause I just like, I
Do we
looked
have
at it and I was like,
random-
nah, I don't
Not
know.
random, but like anonymous thing on the website where you can
And I
click to
think that's
report
what
you
it-
saw something.
I think that's kind of what
I
it is.
just call and say, I saw something, here's what I saw.
I mean, do you think,
Well, I'm saying
Call
like
everybody.
report it to us
Yeah, oh well.
rather, and then,
Citizens complaints, go government. So I mean, it's an organization trying to sell us something.
Great,
Oh.
that's just what we need.
yeah, I get that email. I
But
mean,
it's citizen services.
I just know how terribly frustrating it was when I was just trying to get that no trespass order served. And I started with Sheriff Grismore, who promised me that he would take care of it, and then promptly had the flu. That's okay. Then didn't take care of it. Then called another sheriff who came to town, didn't serve the order, just quote unquote, put the fear of God in him. And then I saw another sheriff at the emergency services building, so I jumped out of exercise class and cornered him at the door. Told him what was going on. Oh yeah, we know who that was. I'll get right back there. I'll take care of that. Nothing happened. I finally got so exasperated on a Friday night when he'd been there every day and called the state police. 2 days went by. Nobody had returned any calls. Nothing had happened. I had the party involved send an email. Nothing happened. Now by this time over a week's gone by, well over, headed into 2 weeks now. Person is still trespassing almost every night, and I finally saw Andre Levere on the street, cornered him, dragged him into Bee's Flowers where we had a long conversation, and he arrested him the following afternoon, that same afternoon on the Walgreens charge, and then the following day served the no trespass order, and then served him again the next day. But that's what the
And I
steps
see
that I
you
went
walking
through to
around
try to
this
get
morning.
oh yeah, he was out, after he got arrested for stealing the cigarettes at the wall, he was out an hour after he got to St. Albans. He was back in Enosburg again with some 14-year-old looking chick walking up the street.
Oh, I cite and release, they gotta
Yep.
come to court in 2
Well, it was
months.
only cigarettes and, who cares about you?
so, I mean, you think that'd be a place, and, we've tried to start many places, but maybe this group forum of select board trustees and,
if we can arrange it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think better get it countywide. I foresee the whole Berkshire, Montgomery, Enosburg, Richford thing to not, there may be 2 parties of that would wanna participate. But yeah, if we wanna reach out and have each select board delegate 1 member, that way it's not a 500 person group.
See what we can learn.
Something just to get a conversation started.
Didn't Montgomery say they did not want a police force?
They
They
don't.
didn't even want the
that is
state
correct.
police.
They want every form of law enforcement out of Montgomery. They
Well-
have for years.
Well, I saw,
They have their
I
reasons.
was talking to Swanton today, and Bill at Swanton today, and he said that they're still, in the town, when they're going back and forth, you were talking about that article, there's still a good portion of people that don't want a police presence, which is kind of surprising, but, he
It's
he
Bakersfield.
brought out facts.
Tell there's
I mean,
ATVs
there's
around.
definitely
You look at these communities
legitimate
that,
reasons for
that
some
don't
people
want-
to not want police presence.
I think that says a lot.
Well, but you look at those communities and you don't hear about the same things that we have happening here. You know, you don't hear about smash and grabs and home invasions.
That's
Very
because
different communities
Taking
though.
care of it out being.
Like,
So, you know, maybe that no police presence for them works, but not here.
Right.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say, I mean, I think some of it comes down to the tax dollar. A lot of them will jump up and down. I mean, I did speak with Bakersfield a couple times and everybody comes in yelling they want police and then when they put
And then
on
you put in.
a line item and then they say,
Can
well, what?
adjust to
And
that
then they
for
never
3
mind.
years in a row.
Are you gonna have to pay for it?
Yeah, and that, I mean, again, that's the same thing that's happened in Swan, you know, I mean,
They wanted to deputize their constable before they'd even look at that, and I'm like, that's gonna cost you over $100,000 to get them set up appropriately. Or you could just pay a $20,000 contract.
yeah, I don't know, if you wanted to reach out to other,
I can put that together.
other towns and cities and villages around and just see.
Hamlets.
Whew.
Yeah, before we start beating the dead horse
Substreets.
on crime. But, let's move on to any other business.
Just, I know you guys are all aware, but we are potentially looking at
Yeah,
another
okay.
storm, Elliott.
I got that.
Yeah, that's
That-
today,
that-
right?
It's not-
Maybe outside the window, we're not sure.
It's freezing rain right now, and then between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. we're talking hurricane force
Yeah,
winds.
that'll be the biggest kicker.
So we're gonna,
We see out there.
It's gonna,
we have, Lori and I will be
Where's
getting
that up?
here
Get away from the windows.
at 6 tomorrow morning and we have the light department coming in for 6. Just a heads up, kind of safety wise. It's supposed to hit, like Abby said, we've been on a couple calls, 1 to 4 is what it's really supposed to winds. Again, they're projecting 80-mile-per-hour winds along our service ridge line of, you know, Cold Hollow, East Bakersfield, Woodward neighborhood area. So our game plan right now is we're only gonna roll on absolute emergencies and then at 6 o'clock the crew will come in and start tackling what we have out there.
Safety is an issue with 75-mile-an-hour winds and a bucket truck.
Well, and the trees are already still loaded with snow from 2 days ago, so.
Yeah.
If it, snows some more and rains some more and then the wind blows, we're gonna have a nice mess.
It's kinda good actually that it's raining now and not snowing.
It
Is
was
it
supposed to be heavy wet snow at first, but they said we had more cloud coverage today, so it didn't, everything
Stayed
did
warmer.
heat up, our
Oh, that's
temperature stayed colder, so we didn't get the heavy wet snow.
Yeah, so far.
But hang in there, it could be a fun 2 days for some people.
So that's
if
our
anyone
game
needs a
plan.
generator, let me know.
We
I
did,
will need it because power will be restored on West Berkshire Road first this time.
And I won't need it because it won't go out in the village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until that
All
maple
of a sudden
tree
the
across
whole
the
room's
road
black.
goes down.
yeah, there's a few of you, if the power goes out, we're really hurting. Go ahead.
Nancy Bro said that after you put in the new water line or whatever up on the Berkshire Road.
Yeah.
That now, every time she washes her dishes, there's a white film that stays on them. She says, I never had that before.
That's actually a good point, because I noticed that as well.
Maybe it's the,
You got that too? Yeah.
Well, the only reason why I didn't notice,
You
but
guys wash your dishes?
Mrs. Valencourt wants a dishwasher now because ours is broken because there's white stuff on the dishes. It's not very old. So yeah, I don't know.
First of all, Mrs. Valencourt, you're probably not gonna get a dishwasher.
She's not.
we can double check, I know it was tested afterwards,
Dishwasher
but
needs to get older.
it has to test before we can turn it on, so I can ask.
Seems like lately it's been worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can ask.
Yeah, now that you bring it up.
Yeah.
So not related to our water systems, but I did discover recently that the grocery store does sell dishwasher washers in
Mhm.
tablet form. You just throw it in, it cleans it, gets rid of that residue, so you can start over afresh.
You can also
I use
throw in a
vinegar.
quarter of a cup of white
I was gonna
vinegar.
say, I do
Yeah,
vinegar.
I was having a particularly hard time, so I went for the actual stuff, and it worked a little bit better. But if you don't want your dishwasher to just build up, vinegar works nicely too.
Mine looks like you.
They have vinegar, I do vinegar in mine too. How would you do? My dishwasher gets a lot of use.
Or you
Kids,
could do what I did, and spend thousands of dollars and put in a whole house water softener and filters.
yeah, we're headed that way because we have hard water at our house.
Enosburg has hard water.
We have extremely hard water.
Yeah,
It's not
ours
the
is,
hardest I've had, but yeah.
Especially if you get below like 32. It's real hard. What do you got, John?
we lost him.
Lastly, I worked this as an agenda, I know it is Tim, basically to you, but just Tim Smith thanking everybody for the, we'd like to thank again Village of Enosburg for investing $1,000 for economic development in Franklin County.
He usually sends a happy,
Wanted to
Tim's a good guy. I like him.
pass that along.
Cool. You're welcome, Tim.
I think that's it. Time, storm.
Good?
Got a post-it note, it's time to go home.
Anybody else? No executive tonight, meeting, if there's no other business, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Not everyone at once, one.
Nobody's in a hurry to
I
leave.
heard Sandy first, is there a second? Eli with the second, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
I agree.